Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Orphan Black, as well as the season premiere of Beauty and the Beast. Starting off with Orphan Black, we kind of have to deal with basically the situation that Donnie's in prison. At first I was a little concerned because it's like, okay, here's Donnie running his mouth off about all the crimes he's done. Because basically I thought like it's going to be a storyline of like, oh, that basically he's going to be used as a drug mule. It's like, oh, we know why you're in here and we want to use your drug connections or something like that. That's what I thought, that's what direction that was heading into. I'm like, because, he's trying to act all tough so that no one messes with him because he is trying to keep to himself because, Donnie is pretty soft as that detective, Duco kind of described him as, and I thought it was going to be that kind of direction, but then he was like, oh, I'm keeping an eye on you. He was like, oh crap, Donnie, like that's what you get from running your mouth, trying to act all big and tough, talking about the crimes you're in here for. But then he was talking about like, oh, that guy's Neo-Lucian. And then I thought the direction it was going to go was, okay, Alison's like, okay, that Duco guy is keeping an eye on you. So I was thinking like, okay, it's going to be a repeat of the Leaky situation. She's going to threaten him or end up inadvertently killing him to, get Donnie off the case. And that's just going to lead to a whole bunch of ramifications. That's because I thought Donnie was being stupid and kind of being paranoid about it. But it's like, nope. I should have known with the whole, like, keeping an eye on you, your little eye tattooed on his hand. I should have figured then, but I was like, I was being an idiot. I didn't really catch on. I was like, oh, he really is Neo-Lucian. Now that in itself led to a whole situation. That's me skipping over the fact is that S was going after him hard. Like, I knew she wasn't going to let that go. Like, let's not forget last episode, she was cleaning her gun, so she had it in her mind beforehand that she was going to get him, and it just like Sarah bringing him up this episode kind of led to her finally acting upon it. I was like, oh, Mrs. S is about to do it too. But I was surprised. I was like so certain she was about to pull the trigger until Alison pulled up, and I was like, okay, that changed everything. I felt so bad for Alison, dude. She was put in that tight spot. It's kind of like you're kind of like, okay, you should confide in your sisters. They can help you out in a situation, but it's kind of like she was in a rock and a hard place, dude. She knew that if she, kind of told them, it could all backfire and it could end up, leading to Donnie being killed. Because this guy was putting her in a tight spot because he was like, oh, you help us find Sarah or things can get very, very ugly for Donnie. And it was just like, she was almost about to start drinking again because she found that little bottle of vodka until Felix showed up. And, then she kind of put it down. But it's like, I was actually sweating bullets during that whole situation because it's like, okay, Donnie's getting a crap beat out of him. This guy's about to stab him. It's like, oh, that guy walked into the comic book store with Sarah. Like, I was starting to think, like, oh, God, they knew he was coming, obviously, but it's like they're going to be mad at Alison because Alison didn't tell her. Because, like, Felix was there trying to tell her, like, kind of give her a chance to kind of confess, but she kind of didn't because she was conflicted. She didn't know what to do because it's like she talked to that priest, and it's like, oh, basically, you're supposed to protect your husband. That's what happens with marriage. You protect each other for better. You're there for each other for better or worse. But it's like, Sarah is a part of her family too. Even though Alison, I feel like out of anyone, Alison is the most reluctant about the whole clone thing. She's the one that kind of she's obviously, no matter what she does, she will always be neck deep in it, but she always keeps herself away from it. Like, Cosima, is full forward into it. It's like, granted, she is sick, so she really has no other choice but to be. And Sarah is, like, kind of pushed in the center of it all. But it was like, out of anyone, she is the most detached. While still being attached, she is the most detached of all the clones, at least, amongst the three of them with this whole situation. It's still, it kept popping in my head this episode. It's like, where the hell is Helena and what is she up to? I can only assume that she's somewhere with her boyfriend, the one she met last season. I cannot remember that actor's name. I just remember, I know him as Mike from Suits. But that, I can't remember. His name is is it Patrick J. Adams or something like that? Him. I think it's going to be, I think she's somewhere off of him, still all preggers. So, I always feel weird saying it like that. It's like, is it faster just to say, faster than saying pregnant? No. It feels derogatory in some shape or form when I say it like that. But anyway, I was just like sweating bullets because I was like, oh God, Donnie's about to get killed, this whole situation. But it's like, nope. Alison came through. I was like, thank you, Alison. It's like, because I didn't want her and the team to be at odds with each other. It's like, in this situation, they need to come together, not fall apart. But she finally told him everything, and basically they set Duco up, and it's like, yep, Donnie's safe. It's like, yeah. But that situation, they were about to torture him, and he's like, yo, Art, you can't let her do this. You can't let her kill hurt a cop. You can't let her cross that line. And Art's like, I've already crossed that line, the moment he decided to help Beth. I mean, because and to me, that was the biggest twist finding out this season, was that the reason why Art cares so much is because it wasn't just because Beth was his partner. He fell in love with her. And that just, it's like, they're the reason why Beth is dead, because they pushed her into a corner, knowing what she knows is like, oh, you either help us, you're kind of loose in all of this. If your sisters find out what they're targets. But if you just die, then the secret dies with you, and they won't be in any danger. So they pushed her into a corner that she couldn't get out of. So like, Art's fine with him being dead, trust me. But like, when they kind of finally cracked, when Miss S was cracking him for information, electrocuted, I thought she was going to do a little bit more. I thought she was going to even a hardcore torture him, but she was zapping him a little. I mean, obviously it's like a lot of voltage, so it's not just a little bit, but still, like, I feel like she could have gone even further. But it was like, we end up finding out that Evie is basically putting those bots into people's mouths. I mean, putting those into people, claiming it to be, genetic modification, genetic therapy, helping people out. But apparently she has another reason for that. Duco didn't know what that reason is, because he is bottom of the food chain. But it's like, what could she really be? And one of the theories he was throwing out is basically make everyone like her, because basically she wants Sarah dead, because Cosima and Sarah saw the conversation between Susan and Evie, because MK kind of hacked into the satellite. And so she knows that Cosima, Alison, as well as herself are all targets, because Evie plans on not being so nice with them. Obviously, they're set for elimination. The rest of the clones, like I said last time, are fine, but it's just them, because they're a threat. And for some reason, Sarah is a threat to her. It's like, if you don't come after her family, Sarah will back down. It's just this. She's the only thing Sarah wants is a cure. Like, she wants all her sisters protected. She wants a cure for Cosima. That's all there is to it. But it's like, Evie wants her dead, because it's like, we can only assume, because there's something special about Sarah, because let's not forget, out of all the clones out there, she's the only one that can biologically have children. She's the only one that had Kira. And Kira, as we can see, is special in some way that we still don't know what that is. Like, what that whole situation's about. But then then S was there with the rifle. I was like, oh God, like, what is she going to, is she going to threaten him or what? I was like, Art and then we're going to come back and stop her or something, or is she just going to stop herself? But nope, she killed him. Like, rifle, close range, blood splattered and everything. You can kind of see in her eye, still didn't heal that, like, hole in her heart. It's like she got revenge for her mom, but it still doesn't bring her back. So you still kind of see a little bit of that sadness in her eyes. Even when she pulled the trigger, there was satisfaction, but it's just like, it doesn't change what's already been done. Like, they changed what he did. And obviously, like I said, it brought up, like, he's not necessarily doing what he's doing because he wants to, because there's a whole situation of, like, his niece was in danger, and basically all the money they're paying him, he did it to set her up, when it's all said and done. He's just like, yeah, I get it. You did it for family. What I'm doing is for family too. I'm doing this for my family. I'm trying to protect the ones that are still alive, and I'm trying to get retribution for the one that you took away. And like, I figured that, like, that Duco guy was kind of, being forced in this situation, obviously. But it doesn't change the fact that he was still an asshole. He enjoyed what he was doing, especially that whole situation with trying to manipulate Alison. He was so giddy about it, just like that smug, evil smile on his face. Like I said, I feel bad for the guy in this situation. I think that's a reason why they kind of don't, like, detach his family. The reason they make you not see this so-called niece of his, or even hear about her until now, because it detaches you from it. It's just like, yeah, you feel just as satisfied as Siobhan does when she pulled that trigger. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it's a good thing they did, because it doesn't humanize him. It's just like, oh, he's a piece of filth working with Evie, and he basically killed Kendall, so it's like, screw him. No sympathy for him. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. We also, something kind of got brought up in this episode too. It's like, MK came back. She had Ferdinand's 3.7 million, and it's like she walked away from this situation, yet she came back. Why? And because basically Sarah was like, there's the amount of stuff we don't know about MK could fill a book, because it's like, out of any of the clones that's kind of caught up, like, brought into this whole situation, that we've kind of got to know a little bit more, because there's certain clones, obviously, Crystal, I think, is the most other consistent clone we've kind of gotten to know other than MK. But even in MK's case, you know next to nothing about her. The only one who really knew MK at all, if anything, was Beth. And, MK kind of keeps to the shadows, but considering she's a hacker, it kind of makes sense. But we kind of find out immediately why she came back, and that's because she's sick. We see her coughing up blood. So obviously her coming back was kind of out of a selfish reason. Obviously she's not letting the others know. Because I was wondering why she was randomly bringing up Casima's illness. I was like, oh, was that just out of concern? No, it's out of concern for herself. So it's like she's back, but not necessarily for the right reasons. Obviously she wants to help, do everything she can. Because she even brought it up to Sarah. She's like, I'm surprised you took me back. And Sarah's kind of like, I'm surprised too. Because it's like, Sarah pleaded with her not to walk away, that she needed her help in all of this, and MK just walked away. But now she's back only because she's sick, so her help is greatly needed and appreciated, but it's like, obviously she came back for the selfish reason. It's not necessarily, yes, she's going to help everyone else out, but only because, sadly, it's going to help her. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, because let's not forget, like, all she's been through. She's been on her own, working alone, like, surviving on her own for so long, all the people she lost in the past because of Helsinki in the past. So, that's enough to change anyone. Being the only one that survived that whole situation, all the friends and family that she knew gone. So I guess you could say she is a little cold in this situation, especially, after the whole, she did open up with Beth. But, even that door closed when Beth ended up killing herself, because Beth kind of walked away from her, but it's like we kind of understand why Beth did what she did. So there was that, and we also had this situation of, Rachel's eye. Still don't know what the hell that is. She's still seeing that swan, and it's like a glitch. So I was like, what's up with that eye? Where did that eye originally, like, it's something that Susan made for her. It's like an artificial eye, but it's like, where did she take the original eyeball from something or somebody and modify it kind of in an artificial sense? Because she's also been seeing like that random dude, as well as like the last time we see it's like it shows that swan's head cut off. So it's like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Cosima and Susan are working together because trying to find a cure. They were talking about like not working with Rachel and Ira, because they kind of formed a team. Because they are technically siblings. They were kind of raised together, raised at different times. So I look at them like siblings is a stretch. Because let's not forget that your quote-unquote mom is banging your quote-unquote brother. So, yeah. Which I don't know if Rachel is actually aware of that or not. We are, but I don't know if Rachel is or not. But essentially it comes down to this. Cosima is going to work with Susan, and Rachel is coming back to work with Sarah, so it's like, who knows how that's going to go. I'm sure she still hasn't forgotten the fact is that Sarah put her in the situation she's in. A situation led to a pencil stabbing her in the eye, basically having to be like, having to go through like physical therapy, kind of learning how to kind of really talk again, all because of Sarah. I mean, she's made great leaps and bounds, but it's like hard to like probably forgive and forget with a situation like that. It also makes you wonder, like, is that eye going to play a part in something? Is that like going to lead to her acting a little crazy? I don't know. She wants the same thing technically as Sarah. She tells us about the fact that she wants to put Susan back in power, but I'm thinking like, no, she wants to basically get Evie out of the way so that she can take over Neolution, because I guess in her mind it's her heritage. It's her birthright essentially. But we have Cosima and Susan working together. Apparently what they're thinking is taking Ira's sperm, the sperm of a castor, and combining it with the egg of Alita, Sarah, because she is the only one that has children, so she's the only one that has eggs, because everyone else is barren. Which is like, that always sounds like a terrible term to me when you describe a woman who can't have children. It's like, oh, she's barren. It's like, that's a fucking horrible term to say. But it's the only word I could think of at that moment. It's just like, she's the only one that can have children, obviously. So what they plan on doing is combining the sperm with Sarah's egg to basically replicate the genome that Kendall has, because Kendall had both the leader and castor DNA, but to kind of finally to recreate that, they have to bring the two halves together to kind of solidify the DNA. Like I know it sounds like I'm BSing my way through some scientific crap right there, but still, Very interesting. It never crossed my mind that that was a plausible thing. Which technically, you look at it, it's kind of weird because it's like a little twisted and ancestral. I did like the fact of the matter is, of Ira's kind of like, if I have to do this, then I'll have to do it. And then Rachel's kind of like, yeah, we can see you're kind of like basically making fun of him, being like, oh yeah, we know how happy you are to play your part in all of this. You know, having to supply your DNA. It's just like, you sick freak. Originally, that situation with Ira and Rachel, I was thinking like, oh, that's not going to just be a brother-sister thing, is it? It's going to grow into something else, kind of like Susan, kind of like, why get the older model when you can have the younger? I mean, yes, you know, that's, you know, clone thing, obviously, but still, nevertheless. So, I don't know, I'm like, this whole situation, I'm very interested to see where we go from here. This was, there's only 2 episodes left this season, so, like, we're winding down, so it's like, I'm quite interested to see what is Evie up to, what are these bots meant to do, like, some next level crap, I'm thinking, it's like, I don't know, like, to me, I was thinking something super like mind control or something like that. Implant those bots into people, control their minds and stuff like that. Or maybe it's something a lot more, you know, nefarious. It's the word I was trying to grasp there. But it's like, I literally have no idea where that's going to go from there. I do wonder will there be ramifications for Siobhan killing Siobhan. I kind of said Siobhan killing Duco. I mean, because that was the whole reason for them not killing her, letting her kill him in the first place, is because it's like, okay, you know, killing a cop, there will be ramifications, but they probably, like, you know, they'll probably bury his body and cover it up. Kind of another leaky situation. Double leaky in this episode, huh? I mean, references to him and whatnot. But I'm very interested to see where that goes. Also, interestingly enough, we have Adele being, you know, Felix's sister being Donnie and Allison's lawyer. Obviously, Felix lied to her and told her about, like, them being twins. You know, because it's like, how much does she know? So I'm with the way she is and the way this situation's playing out, you know, especially considering the fact that I don't know. I was like, okay, you know, the whole clone situation's been shut down because it's like, oh, we're not even bothering monitors and stuff like that. But still, she could be Neolution, but I'm starting to pull back on it. I'm like, maybe she's just a drunk. Maybe that's all she is. Maybe she really is just family. Maybe she'll be brought in on this whole situation. Maybe not. I feel like Felix will probably want to keep her technically as far away as possible from this situation. The only reason why he brought her in is because she's the only lawyer they know, because considering the fact is all of Allison's money has been tied up in that whole situation. And I figured it, and I'm glad I was able to call that, but I'm pretty sure everyone could call that's what that situation was leading to. It's just like, oh, arresting Donnie so you can manipulate Allison into turning on the team. So now that leverage has been removed, it makes you wonder, will Duco be replaced by someone else? You know, will Evie put someone else in that position to try and get to the team or not? Or like, how is she handled? Because she hasn't directly handled anything herself. Everything's kind of been like, oh, manipulating other people to do her bidding. So it's like, I don't know. I get the feeling maybe, just maybe, the season's going to end with her dying. And like I said, Rachel taking up her position as the head of Neolution. Maybe, maybe not. But like I said, I'm backing down on the Adele thing. It's probably going to be a twist where it's like, okay, yep, she definitely is Neolution. But for now, I am backing away from my beliefs that she's actually undercover. I mean, obviously with, you know, Sarah actually finding out beforehand, it's like, okay, that is his biological sister. She isn't just someone that lied to get close to Felix, to get close to them. So can't wait to see where we go next episode. And now moving on to the season premiere of Beauty and the Beast, which going into this, we do know that this is the final season. Like, I'm kind of like that knowing ahead of time, like, okay, this is the final season. It's not like, oh, we're being brought back for another season and maybe there'll be a next one, or maybe at the last minute we'll get canceled and then it'll be like a series. It's like, nope, we know going into it. So that's kind of really nice. But basically this season takes place about 2 months after the end of season 3. Basically, we kind of pick up and see where everyone is in their lives. Vincent and Catherine are in Paris enjoying their honeymoon. JT is teaching again. Tess is, back in her position. She doesn't have to worry about fighting for her job. I mean, soon she will be, obviously, with the events of the episode. But for now, she's been enjoying having her position as, isn't it captain back? Basically, this episode is kind of them like, out of anybody, the people that are most squirmish about this whole situation is Catherine and JT. They're kind of the worrywarts of the group, because Vincent and Tess are like, calm the hell down, to each of their significant others, being like, calm the hell down. You're worrying too much. You're always looking for the danger right around the corner. Maybe there will be trouble, but for now, just enjoy the normal lives we've created for ourselves. For them, it's like, enjoy our honeymoon, because Kat was like so adamant about like, let's stay in. And he's like, we haven't been out since we got here. Are you, like, she was scared. She's like, in her mind, it's like, as long as they stay inside, nothing bad will happen, essentially. But it's like, that's no way to live. And JT, there was that student who kept pushing us, like, oh, what about cross species? And then, like, JT was kind of, kind of pushing them off, but he kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. I was like, okay, that's definitely going to lead to something, because he's too damn adamant about it. So basically, the episode dealt with them trying to deal with a blogger. Essentially, JT and Heather kind of got involved and were trying to deal with that. And they ended up finding that the blogger, because he's kind of got a little traction of his own, basically the DHS, basically the agents that got involved last season, basically have been covering up all traces of stuff leading to Beast. But basically this blogger kind of pieced it all together, and he was going to reveal some stuff. JT and then broke into his house, ended up finding him dead because he was tortured. Good part on JT, because he had those, like, good reflexes. That guy threw the knife. JT put, like, the monitor in front of him. I was like, that was pretty damn close. But we end up finding out that this guy is basically being paid to come after Vincent. He's being paid, like, there's like a there's $5 million on for Vincent's head. Someone is backing this guy, because this guy's actually like a hunter. Like, he came after Vincent also because he enjoys to hunt. Because the way he killed, like everyone he went after in this episode, the blogger, he actually went after the DHS agent we met at the end of last season, the one who helped cover up this whole situation. He was kind of somewhat like their handler. Both of them were like heavily tortured. This guy, a bit sadistic, because he enjoyed the hunt. He makes it seem like, okay, like, I'm only doing this, as, I'm a businessman. That's the reason why I'm doing all this. But it's like, no, you kind of enjoy doing what you're doing. And he looked at, because he is a hunter, he kind of looked at Vincent as the ultimate prey. Hands down, kind of like the funniest moment episode that I really enjoyed was Kat and Vincent running into catching Heather and that, what's his name, Kyle, having sex on her bed. And it's just like, oh, that weird, awkward moment when you see your sister having sex. And not only just having sex in your bed, in your house. It's just, you can never unsee that those sheets will have to be burned. And I love the fact this cat kept calling him, you have to see Carl later. It's Kyle. And it's like, it is Kyle. Just because it's like, you kind of feel bad for Heather, because Heather is kind of up in the air, because she's like, she doesn't really have a job. She doesn't have a boyfriend in her life. Well, she doesn't have a love life. And this whole situation, Kat's kind of telling her that she might not want to date, because you never know. Maybe someone that she's running into might be someone connected to all this, that maybe they're trying to get close to her just to get close to them, to go after Vincent. That basically she doesn't have the best track record when it comes to her love life, and it's kind of like, well, that's understandable, considering like last season her love life kind of fell apart because she was engaged, but that ended up falling apart, and I was quite sad. Didn't it turn out, I might be remembering this wrong, but didn't he turn out to be already married or something like that? I don't know. Maybe it was just kind of like they were moving too quickly, because she does, and I can kind of feel her on that, because I have a tendency to fall in love pretty fast too. So I kind of feel her on that. But it's just like, really, the main focus of this episode is to find out, like, how the hell do we get out of this situation? Obviously, we got someone still after Vincent, putting like a $5 million bounty on his head. Obviously, they don't know who Vincent is, but they did get access to a lot of information. There's no telling. Who knows if that guy, that hunter guy, actually reported any of the stuff he found, about Catherine being connected to the Beast and stuff like that. What we do know is that, if they know what they know, that means they are going to be coming after her and, like, ripping her, cutting her life apart, trying to find a way to get towards the Beast. I mean, they've already narrowed it down too, because they already know where to search. They just don't know specifically where to search. So, because it does bring up, there's many questions I am curious about with this being the final season. We kind of got a look at the past, little in season 2, quite a bit in season 3 about the Beast. Like, there was that ancestor of Catherine's that fell in love with a beast herself, because beasts aren't just a scientific manifestation. They are actually based in, like, because this show has always maintained kind of a science fictional aspect to it, but it does seem like there might be a supernatural aspect to it as well, because it seems like beasts exist in the past as well, or maybe that was some kind of like genetic defect or something like that. Maybe it's like some evolutionary thing. So maybe we're still keeping in the realm of sci-fi, but it's like beasts existed in the past. It does make me wonder, like, we kind of closed a chapter on that when we dealt with the whole Liam situation, because it's like, Catherine's ancestors, past kind of coincided with her present. Was that season 3 or was that season 2 with the whole Gabe situation? I don't remember. I think it was season 3 with Liam, right? But basically, it's like, I wonder, will that come up again? Because it's like, finding out a little bit more about the secret. Because even then, we still didn't find out exactly where beasts come from. We obviously see that they've existed for a very long time, but it's like, where did the original beast come from? Were they science experiments as well, or was there something else behind their creation? And also, like, I kind of brought it up a little bit, and I kind of deterred from it, but it's like, a big part of this is finding out how we're going to have a normal life, because if they're not careful, there will always be someone coming after them. Because earlier in the episode, we saw Vincent save that couple from their car, but it's like that guy saw Vincent's eye because he kind of had to beast out to get the guy in his to get the guy's door off, and he kept bringing it up to that police officer in Paris, and it's like, even helping people can be dangerous for them, because that could, because they're like always worried about getting exposed by like, oh, like this is the next threat around the corner. But it's like, they can end up exposing themselves too, because they always rush in to help people, especially in Vincent's case. But it's like, if he ever wants to help someone, he basically would have to go without beasting out. And it's like, that's one way of being exposed, but it's like, how are we going to make it so that we never have to worry about this again? Because even Tess is worried about, because she was so hoping that they move past this. Her and JT were going to move in together. And basically, it came up, and I thought it was funny too, is basically like JT and Heather got asked a question by her. It's like, Tess was like, you guys missed this, don't you? And JT was kind of like, of course not. And Heather kind of said in a way like she almost did, like, she's like, of course not. So maybe, because she is the newest one on the team, her life's been threatened a little bit because of this whole beast day, but it is kind of a thrill to her, maybe, maybe she, and brings a little excitement to her life. Obviously, it's brought detriments too, because obviously it's interfering with her love life, but and I kind of got that too. I was like, oh, maybe JT does miss this life a little bit. He does to a small degree, whether he'll really he'll say he doesn't, but he says basically it's been a part of his life for such a long time. It's been part of his life longer than it has for Tess or Kath. Well, about the same for Tess and Catherine, probably longer for JT, because JT's been a part of this ever since, because for one, Vincent is his best friend, so they go back. Vincent's like a brother to him, but also when you compare it, like, he's the one that kept Vincent secret for such a long time. Like, 9 years prior to, obviously you skip the beginning of the first season a little bit when you see Kat being saved, but after like that moment was like her first interaction with him. Prior to that, he was being protected by JT. So for those 9 years plus the subsequent time that has passed, he's been there by Vincent's side with this whole situation a little bit longer. So it's a little more ingrained in him. Basically, JT wants to kind of like do a little bit more. He's like, I'm tired of just being a professor. It's like, I can affect a couple people's lives, a dozen, maybe 100, but it's like, I don't make a true impact. It's like doing this whole beast situation, and it kind of felt like I was doing something, I had a greater purpose. And it does, because even he's talking about the fact is that Tess kind of, she's doing good. Like every day she's going to work, she's helping, keep the city safe. Her job has meaning. And to me, I was chalking it up to JT, why don't you just work with Tess? Obviously, that'd be a little weird, but it's like, you could be like a consultant that helps her on cases. Like that's, I've watched plenty of crime drama / police procedurals to be like, yeah, just act as a consultant, and that kind of work out. But, maybe he wants to find his own thing. Maybe we'll actually see that come up in this season. I don't know. it will be interesting to see like how like their relationship will be affected, because obviously we've seen their relationship be affected by the events of the series a little bit, you know. Just I love the fact is that they hooked up. It was kind of just like we're kind of a little drunk and hooked up, but then it actually grew into a relationship. Obviously Tess was a little reluctant, but then eventually, you know, she came to grow to love JT just like he came to grow and love her too, you know. So it's very interesting to see how their relationship will be affected by, especially, you know, that JT wants to kind of do a little bit more of his life, seeing them move in together and stuff like that. You know, also have Vincent and Kat trying to enjoy married life, you know, without having to worry about looking over their shoulder. Kat's worried about it a lot, but Vincent, he pretends like he's not. He's like, yeah, I'm worried about it, but, you know, we can't spend the rest of our lives worrying about this because that's just going to, like, you know, it's just going to ruin the time we spend together. So, you know, very interested to find out what the rest of the series is planned. I get the feeling with this being the final season and the way what the story is, I get the feeling it's probably going to be another 13 episode one, because season 3 was 13 episodes. I was quite shocked when like season 3 ended. I was like, when 3 ended, I was like, wait, really? I was like, that was super short. I was like, oh, is it coming back? Was that a break? Because I'd watched it online because I'd missed it. But I was like, oh, is that? I was like, wow, I was really expecting more. Because, you know, the first 2 seasons are like 20-some episodes, aren't they? If I'm remembering correctly, they are. So it's kind of interesting. So with the way things are, I mean, if it ends up being like a 20-episode arc, that'd be cool. I'm fine with that. But I get the feeling with the way the story is, it's going to be another 13 episode or so. Or was it 10 episodes? Whatever the case, it's going to be a shorter season too. So quite interested to see where we go from here. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.